Let's address the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the elephant on our laptops, phones, and tablets. Pornography. It's everywhere. From the privacy of our homes to the public spaces we frequent, it's become an inescapable part of our digital lives. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, more profitable than Hollywood and the music industry combined. The sheer scale of its reach and influence is staggering. But behind the scenes of this seemingly ubiquitous form of entertainment lies a darker, more disturbing reality. A reality that is often hidden from the public eye. We're constantly bombarded with images that sexualize, objectify, and commodify bodies, particularly women's bodies. These images are not just in adult content but have seeped into mainstream media as well. This constant exposure can desensitize us to the very real human beings involved in the making of this content. It numbs our empathy and distorts our perceptions of intimacy and relationships. We forget that behind the pixels and the carefully constructed fantasies are real people with real lives, real emotions, and real vulnerabilities. These individuals often face significant personal and professional challenges. This essay aims to pull back the curtain on the porn industry, to reveal the hidden truths and the human cost behind the scenes, to expose the stark contrast between the glossy facade and the often grim reality. The disparity between what is shown and what is real is vast and troubling. We'll delve into the dark side of this industry, exploring the exploitation, the abuse, the mental health consequences, and the societal impacts that are often overlooked, and the criminal activities that often go hand in hand with pornography. It's time to confront these issues head-on and seek a deeper understanding of their implications. The porn industry thrives on illusion, creating a facade that captivates and deceives. It presents a world of fantasy where sex is always easy, bodies are always perfect, and consent is always enthusiastically given, painting an unrealistic picture of intimacy and desire. But this is a dangerous distortion of reality, masking the darker truths that lie beneath the surface. The truth is far less glamorous and far more disturbing, revealing a world filled with pain and suffering. The industry often portrays a narrative of empowerment, suggesting that performers are in control, making their own choices and reaping the financial rewards of their labor, creating an illusion of autonomy and success. But scratch beneath the surface and you'll find a different story, one that is rarely told and often hidden from view. The reality for many performers, particularly women, is one of exploitation, coercion, and abuse, where their autonomy is stripped away. They are often pressured into performing acts they are uncomfortable with, forced to comply with demands that violate their boundaries, pressured into taking drugs to enhance their performance, numbing their senses to cope with the demands of the industry, and pressured into staying silent about the abuses they face for fear of retribution, living in constant fear of the consequences of speaking out. The power dynamics within the porn industry are inherently imbalanced. Performers, many of whom are young and new to the industry, are often at the mercy of agents, producers, and directors who hold significant power over their careers and livelihoods. This power imbalance creates an environment ripe for exploitation. There are countless stories of performers being pressured into performing acts they didn't consent to, being denied breaks or food, and being subjected to verbal and physical abuse on set. The industry's lack of regulation and oversight further exacerbates these issues. Unlike traditional film sets, there are often few safeguards in place to protect performers from harm. The psychological toll that performing in pornography can take is often overlooked. Many performers enter the industry at a young age, often with pre-existing vulnerabilities, such as low self-esteem, history of trauma, or substance abuse issues. The nature of the work itself, which can involve performing degrading acts, having sex with multiple partners, and constantly being objectified, can exacerbate these vulnerabilities and lead to a range of mental health issues. Studies have shown that pornographic performers are at a higher risk for depression, anxiety, PTSD, substance abuse, and suicidal ideation. Section 5. A vicious cycle: addiction, debt, and further exploitation. The porn industry often preys on individuals who are vulnerable and desperate, particularly those struggling with addiction or financial instability. For many, the promise of quick and easy money can be alluring, especially when they have few other options. However, this promise of wealth is often short-lived. Many performers find themselves trapped in a vicious cycle of addiction, debt, and further exploitation. They may turn to drugs to cope with the demands of the job or to numb the emotional pain. This can lead to a downward spiral, making it even harder for them to leave the industry and rebuild their lives. They become trapped, further exploited by an industry that profits from their vulnerability. Section 6. The criminal underbelly, sex trafficking, forced pornography, and organized crime. While not all pornography is created equal, it's important to acknowledge the very real and disturbing link between the porn industry and criminal activities, including sex trafficking and forced pornography. The anonymity and lack of regulation within the industry create an environment where these horrific crimes can thrive. Victims of trafficking are often forced into performing in pornographic films against their will, controlled through violence, threats, and coercion. These crimes are a stark reminder of the darkest side of the porn industry, a side that often operates in the shadows, exploiting the vulnerable for profit. Section 7. Blurred lines, the normalization of violence and exploitation. One of the most concerning aspects of the porn industry is its tendency to normalize violence and exploitation. Many pornographic films depict acts of aggression, degradation, and even violence as normal or even desirable. This constant exposure to distorted depictions of sex and relationships can have a desensitizing effect, blurring the lines between what is acceptable and what is not. It can contribute to a culture where violence against women is normalized and where consent is treated as an afterthought. This normalization of violence is not just harmful to performers, it also has broader societal implications, impacting how we view relationships, sexuality, and respect for others. Section 8. Societal impacts. Pornography's influence on relationships and attitudes. The pervasiveness of pornography, particularly online, has sparked widespread debate about its impact on society, particularly its influence on relationships, attitudes towards sex, and the overall perception of women. Critics argue that pornography promotes unrealistic expectations about sex and relationships, often depicting women as objects for male pleasure rather than as equal partners. This can contribute to a disconnect between fantasy and reality, making it harder for individuals to form healthy, fulfilling relationships. Furthermore, the easy accessibility of pornography, particularly violent or degrading content, raises concerns about its potential to desensitize viewers to violence against women and contribute to a culture of objectification. Section 9. The economics of exploitation profits over people. At its core, the porn industry is a business, and like any business, it's driven by profit. Unfortunately, in the case of the porn industry, profits often come at the expense of the performers themselves. The industry generates billions of dollars in revenue each year, yet a large portion of this wealth remains concentrated in the hands of production companies, distributors, and website owners. Performers, particularly women, often receive a fraction of the profits. This exploitative economic structure perpetuates the cycle of abuse and vulnerability, making it difficult for performers to advocate for their rights or seek better working conditions. Section 10. A call to action raising awareness, promoting regulation, and supporting victims. The dark side of the porn industry is a complex and multifaceted issue, but it's not an insurmountable one. There are many layers to this problem, from exploitation and abuse to the lack of proper regulations and oversight. By raising awareness, promoting regulation, and supporting victims, we can work towards creating a safer and more ethical industry. It starts with understanding the depth of the issue and recognizing the human cost behind the scenes. We need to start by acknowledging the problem, by having open and honest conversations about the harms of pornography and the exploitation that often fuels it. These discussions can pave the way for meaningful change. We need to educate ourselves and others about the realities of the industry. Knowledge is power, and by spreading awareness, we can empower more people to take a stand. We need to advocate for stronger regulations and oversight of the industry to protect performers from abuse and exploitation. This includes pushing for laws that ensure fair treatment and safety for all involved. And we need to support organizations that provide resources and assistance to victims of trafficking and abuse within the porn industry. These organizations play a crucial role in offering hope and help to those in need, guiding them towards recovery and a better future. Section 11. Conclusion. A shared responsibility towards a safer and more ethical world. The dark side of the porn industry is a stain on our collective conscience. It's a stark reminder of the ways in which our society continues to commodify and exploit bodies, particularly women's bodies, for profit. Addressing this issue requires a multifaceted approach, one that involves challenging the normalization of exploitation, promoting ethical consumption, supporting victims, and advocating for systemic change. It's time to move beyond simply acknowledging the problem. It's time to take action, to create a world where everyone, regardless of their profession, is treated with dignity, respect, and care.